Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. Everyone likes to talk about how smart their kid is. How dumb is yours? Removed. When my oldest was 5, the city revamped a playground in our neighborhood. One of the new pieces of equipment they put in are these spinning cup things. Basically, they are dished-out seat mounted on a bearing that is slightly angled. If you sit in them, your natural attempt to balance yourself will cause it to keep spinning and usually pick up speed. They are hilarious to convince drunk people to sit on. Edit. Here is a picture of one. By viewing this image, you agree to hop on one of them if you ever spot one while you are on a drunk walk. Images.app.goo.gl. So my oldest sees this thing and asks me to put her on it. I gave her warning. It gets pretty fast. Let me know if you want off. So I put her on it and give it a little twist. She's spinning but not crazy fast. Faster. She yells. She is maniac on the playground, so I am not surprised. I add a bit more spin, pushing her foot faster. She screams. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's do this. I whip her by the foot on the way by. At this point she is a blur on top of this thing. Faster. She screams again. At this point I was like, I legit don't understand how she would want to be going faster, and it clicked. Do you mean slower? Slower, she bellows at the top of her lungs. So I stop the thing and she half jumps, half falls out. She immediately tries to take a step and face plants into the sand and starts crying. She was mad at me for the rest of the day for not understanding that faster meant slower. Edited for clarity. My 5-year-old did not in fact revamp the playground. Oh hell yeah, let's do this. Awesome line. Has me cracking up. LMAO. Took me so long to understand that your kid didn't revamp the playground. LMAO. Kids. It's a good source of amusement over the years hearing them test the waters with new words they think they have learnt as well. Agreed. My little sister called me sexy as an insult because she heard it and somehow knew it was a bad word. My god, you made me laugh so hard! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. I love this story. I would appreciate if it somehow made it as a tiny side story in a movie about family life. She used her hair to clean up the water she spilled and cried because she then got all wet. Edit to include another story. One time she was jumping on the bed and kneed herself in the face. She cried. I asked what happened. She decided to show me what happened by jumping on the bed and kneeing herself in the face again, and crying. It was also her birthday. Thanks for the love, guys. Kids are dumb, but they have to get it from somewhere. Well, you can't say she wasn't using her head. Beats mopping around the house. Only minutes ago, having lunch with my kids, my 4-year-old was complaining that the bread in his bagel was getting in the way of him eating the hole, and could I cut the bread away? Bagels with bigger holes. I think your kid might be the genius of the crew. Edit. Holy moly. You people love bagels. For the record, I grew up in a major bagel city, so I do know what Montreal-style bagels are. Thanks. Then you can mark up the price or make it the same while using less bread. Capitalistic genius. Or just sell an empty bag without any bagels and call it a bag of bagel holes. Same price for an empty bag. New and improved bagels. Now with 50% more whole. Heavenly bagels, the highest bagels on the market. He loves pizza. As long as I tell him what we're eating is pizza, he'll eat it. Vegetables. Call it pizza. Chicken nuggets. Call it pizza. Literally anything. He screams, yay pizza, and eats it. He's 2. My older sister used to do this when she was a kid. But with meat. Everything was chicken. At dinner time my sister would ask, what type of chicken is this? And mom would say, steak, and my sister would go, I love steak chicken. I tell mine, who have decided they don't like fish, it's chicken. Works every time. My mom did this with my sister, though called it chicken fish, and she would wolf it down every time. Finally clicked when she was 17 when she was eating chicken fish, and said this tastes kinda like the fish they serve at school. Wait, and then looked very betrayed. Tears of joy. Edit. Your comments crack me up. I'd like to clarify that I think it was less of a "this is definitely not fish" stance she'd had, and more of a "I just never thought about it" sort of realization. Also, my mom is currently sitting next to me feeling all chuffed with her parenting of a picky eater now. By the way, This is too funny to me. The betrayal acknowledgements are late into the scheme. Salmon remains pink chicken in our house. They are currently 11 and 9. Just make sure to teach them about salmonella once they start cooking. Chickenella. There, I fixed it for you. My 3-year-old daughter told me the other night that her favorite animals are unicorns, moths, and the ocean. She's just covering all the bases. Mom, you got land, sea and air all in one, lol. I gush bragged to my mom one day when my middle kiddo was about 3. She was standing outside and explaining how the earth revolves around the sun. I was like, what? She's 3. Then she walked over and licked the side of the outdoor garbage can. Unprompted, brought me back down to earth. Something like this happened with my sister when she was 3. We were at an amusement park in Jersey and she wanted to throw the trash away in the bin, so we let her. She ended up grabbing the bin, and so we told her not to put her hands on the bin cause it was dirty. Then she turned around, looked us dead in the eyes and proceeded to put her mouth around the lip of the bin. My mother nearly fainted. For every intelligent action by a kid, they have to do something equally stupid to maintain balance in the universe. The law of equivalent exchange. The girl is pretty bright. The boy is only 3, but I'm getting a bit worried. He climbed up onto the kitchen table and swan dived headfirst into the linoleum floor and banged his head pretty good the other day. The worrying thing is, it wasn't the last time. He keeps doing it. Edit. Holy crap balls, this got a lot of upvotes. The boy is fine, by the way, he is just a handful. Either a future swimmer or life speed runner. This can be common in kids who have hyposensitivity. Source. Was a preschool teacher. Had a little boy in my class who would on purpose smash his head on walls, floors, table corners, etc. He responded really well to using a weighted blanket and had a weighted stuffed elephant as well, ETA. Thanks for the award. Also, to the person saying, there's always gonna be an armchair diagnosis, or whatever. I'm not diagnosing the kid with anything. Hyposensitivity is common in the young children who are learning how to vent frustration, anger, etc. and is not a diagnosis, but could be a piece of a larger puzzle. Weighted blankets are like cheat codes for a lot of kids with some kind of sensory issue. Can take them from literally bouncing off the walls to peaceful in a moment. And while it doesn't permanently fix things, it's a really cheap way to make things better. I hadn't figured weighted stuffed animals might have the same effect. But it makes sense, as one of our kids used to love the heavy penguin stuffed animal. And they're the one who uses the weighted blanket. This behavior concerns me a bit. I do think it's worth bringing up to his pediatrician. She cried because I told her she wasn't allowed to pour water out of the bucket onto the grass, because she wanted to jump in a muddy puddle. I told her no because she has no shoes on and her feet would get wet. Then she emptied the bucket when I wasn't looking, jumped in it and cried because her feet were wet. What is the correct parenting there? Showing sympathy and trying to calm her emotionally and showing it's not a big deal to get wet? Or ignoring her crying to show repercussions for not listening but maybe creating emotional trauma? I guess it slightly depends on age. Both you don't coddle and act like getting wet is a big deal. But you don't ignore their very real feelings, either. You can explain what happened and still comfort them. Kid, do you remember that you don't like getting your feet wet? Mud is wet and if you step in it you will be wet. If you don't like what happened, make a different choice next time. Then give hugs and help clean up. I have a 1-yo and 4-yo and have been using that kind of language from the start. The 4-yo knows about good consequences and bad consequences. And that good behavior usually results in one and bad behavior in the other. The 1-yo is just starting to push boundaries so she'll get there. I tell him if he doesn't like the consequences or wanted something different to happen, he needs to do something different next time. It puts the bad behavior as his responsibility instead of me being the bad guy. Edit. I want to thank everybody for the continued conversation and for the awards. I'll work on replying to everybody. I promise. I'm glad to have said something useful. My general parenting philosophy is to respect each kid as their own person with their own interests. That may be different from mine, and to aim for yes, say yes as often as possible to as many of their silly seeming requests as possible, so that when I have to say no they understand that I'm not just being arbitrarily mean. Those silly requests like mixing weird foods or wearing their shoes on the wrong feet are all part of them being creative and exploring the world and literally don't impact me at all. I also want to say that even with good parenting, kids do lots of stupid stuff. For example, when he was 3, my kid licked the side of the grocery cart and also wrapped his tongue around the handrail at an exhibit at the zoo. It's not about preventing them from doing stupid stuff. It's teaching them personal accountability. Their actions are always their choice, good and bad, and I lay out the potential consequences for them in advance so there are no surprise punishments. You're teaching more than just your child, you're teaching half of Reddit as well. Godspeed. My kid v.1 made make-believe pancakes, then cried because kid v.2 stole one and ate it. I had to make-believe cook more to settle them down. Kid v.2 also broke kid v.1's make-believe Xbox while they were playing on a car trip. Lucky I know make-believe tech support, and fixed it. Edit. Thank you for all the hugs and awards. This reminds me of the mime troupe coach at my school. He'd make everyone put away their mime props after their piece. Friend was happy that her kids were playing outside make-believe with a toy tablet, which in reality was a large piece of slate. Great, until they started fighting over the fricking piece of stone. A toy tablet, which in reality was a large piece of slate. I mean that's literally a tablet though, lol. You're like a make-believe jack of all trades. A flapjack of all trades. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's make-believe. Edit. Y'all are too damn funny. Thanks for all the love. She didn't realize birds actually have legs. She was under the impression that the feet just attach to the bottom of the body. Owls' legs are particularly problematic and concern her most. She's 14. To be fair, I'm 21 and owls' legs concern me too. I'm 29 and still gasp when that video pops up every now and then. What video? Owls are my jam. I was looking for a video to share with you, but instead I found this and I can't stop laughing. www.sadanduseless.com. Edit. Thank you for the award. UBRDT. My 3-year-old had a meltdown yesterday because someone ate all his sultanas. It was him. He ate all the sultanas. Edit. For all those asking, sultanas are dried grapes, basically raisins, but a little bit smaller in size. TBF, I'd be sad if I ate all my sultanas. Edit. A sultana is a dried seedless green grape. It's basically a specific kind of raisin. What are sultanas? My kid will stand there whining with a turd the size of a potato in his diaper slowly steaming off. Heat that has enough stench to starch your shirt. I'll ask him if he pooped, and he will look at me and say, no, in a way that is filled with, how dare you insinuate I have defecated, overtones. Defecated, overtones. Legend has it that Deftones wanted that for their band name back in the 90s, but every record label they went to said that they need to have a different name or shorten it somehow, so they compromised and went with Deftones. The rest is history. Yeah, 23 is a difficult age. Nobody likes you when you're 23. When my brother was like 4 or 5, he pooped in a corner of our downstairs neighbor's porch, brought all of us there to inspect it, then looked up at us innocently and announced, looks like it's human poop, like he himself wasn't responsible for that crap. This is one of the funniest things I think I've ever read. Genuinely laughed myself to tear imagining a 5-year-old crouching down to inspect a crap with the bunch of adults around him only to stand up and give his deduction. In my imagining he also removes a tiny pair of aviator sunglasses like Horatio Kane in CSI Miami. Q intro music. Not my kids, but my little sister. Once, she cut her own hair behind our back and figured she didn't like it, so she started crying and tried to undo it using duct tape. I did the same. I ended up with a 1 centimeter short fringe. It's the style I'm rocking on my 2nd grade picture. Lol. Edit. My mum informed me that I did it because my teachers always scolded me for having my hair in my face. Well, it sure wasn't there after my hair appointment. This is really sweet though. Thanks for watching LWIAR. The best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too. And don't forget to like and subscribe.